Hey guys, this is Adrian Clark. I wanted to make an Excel tutorial today talking about a topic that I don't really see discussed much or learned much when you're learning Excel, and that's simply just take a workbook and understand it and synthesize it in a way that you can interpret it meaningfully. Um, when you're learning Excel, you learn stuff like macros, functions, and how to format a table and make it look cool, but you don't really understand, or you don't really learn, in my opinion, how to kind of just understand it intuitively. And that's what I hope to show with this tutorial. We're going to learn how to look at a workbook and analyze it and then interpret it in a meaningful way. So to make this a little more easier to follow, I've created a scenario that we can put ourselves in. So we are a project manager of a marketing and consulting team, and we're tasked with finding new customers for a publishing house. Our team is going to be given a bunch of Excel spreadsheets, maybe tens, hundreds, just a big amount. And it's our job to look over them and make sense of them. And we need to use Excel for this, and we need to use Excel to present the data we've been given in a way that's easily understandable by both our superiors and our potential clients. So really, the main thing we're going to be doing here is understanding data by producing information. So we're going to be looking at spreadsheets, and we're going to be coming up with meaningful information that we can pull from the data in the spreadsheets. Now, who is this tutorial for? I would say really anybody needing to make sense of a spreadsheet. Be it if you're a researcher or a librarian or a consultant or a collection manager. This is kind of more targeted towards books, but this can really be anybody who needs to make a spreadsheet, who needs to take a workbook and organize it and analyze it in a way that they can make decisions from. So what are we going to be learning? We're going to be using the sort function on Excel, and we're going to be using that to easily present data in a more organized form. We're going to use filters to display only the information that we're interested in, or only the information that we need for our particular interest or for our particular goal. And then finally, we're going to use a pivot table to express the information that we've created in a very organized and very easy to read and understandable way. So I wanted to do a kind of like a live cast, so I would record my screen, but the software that I was using does not seem to cooperate with me. So we're going to use just screenshots, and I'm going to walk you through each screenshot individually. So hopefully this will be understandable and enjoyable. So for this tutorial in particular, I've just taken my Goodreads account from online, my goodreads.com account, and I've put it into a spreadsheet. And this is kind of cool because, as the scenario will have it, we are researching, and we're going to be researching someone through a Goodreads account and seeing what kind of books they like, and then we're going to target them in that way. In this particular case, this is just my personal Goodreads account. So what we're going to start is we're going to start by going to the top ribbon. And in the top ribbon, we can see we have home, insert, page layout, formulas, data review. We're going to be looking at data in particular, the data tab. As you can see here, what we're going to be looking at in particular for this is the sort and the filter function. These are going to be the two tools that we use most primarily for this, for kind of organizing information and filtering it in a way that we can use it meaningfully. So we're back in our spreadsheet. What I did here is I put my cursor on, it looks like C3 under author, and I've made it so the spreadsheet is organized under the main points: title, author, ISBN, ratings, publisher, kind of the most important categories. I'm going to go ahead and first I'm clicking on the sort button under data. We can see here is that when we have these headers that I've bolded that we can use to categorize, we can simply sort by the headers or by the columns. And on the top right of that, we can see my data has headers that's checked on. Basically, the top row in any column will be what Excel uses to make that conclusion as to what is a header. So first thing, I'm going to sort by author first. We can see here that the first column is, all the categories in my spreadsheet. Then I have the second option of sorting on either values, cell color, font color, cell icon. I'm just going to do values here. And then since Excel knows that this is an alphabetic entry, it's giving me the option of sorting A to Z or Z to A. If this was numbers, it would be either smallest to largest, largest to smallest. If you can hear my dog barking in the background, I apologize. He's been kind of mean today. So you can see that I've now sorted my workbook by author. You can see in column C that the authors are listed alphabetically. But we can still sort this further, and we can do that by going by adding a level deeper in the sort options. So back in the sort window, we can see at the top left there's an add level option. When we click on the add level option, we can then see that we can sort then by title, book ID, anything else. For this particular case, I'm going to sort again by title. So we're going to have the workbook first sorted by author alphabetically, and then we're going to sort it by title alphabetically. So it's going to be really, really easy and simple to read. So at this slide, I have the workbook sorted by title again. You can't really see it unless you go to an author that has more than one entry. So I've read a couple books by David Crystal, and we can see here that now the titles are now organized alphabetically as well as the author. So in addition to sorting, we also have the option of filtering. This is only, so instead of looking at the entire workbook that we have, we can filter only by meeting criteria, and we can only display the information that meets the criteria that we set out. So under the data tab again, if we go to filter, we can see here in row 3 our categories now have a little drop down menu, and I've gone ahead and highlighted that so it's more little. Clicking on one of the drop down menus will give us a little option. We can either sort again, or we can search. As you can see here, if we click on one of those arrows, it would only display the information that meets it. So if I only want to look at books by Alan Moore, I can just click everything off except for Alan Moore, and I will only see the book by Alan Moore. And in my library, that only seems to be The Watchmen. This works for numbers as well. Text filters kind of gives a different thing, but number filters you can search by giving some arguments. So does a particular field meet? Does it equal something? Is it greater than something? Is it less than? For this, I'm gonna use the average rating. This is the average Goodreads account, and I'm gonna filter it by only ratings that are greater than 4.2. And on this side, we can see all the books that have met the criteria of only exceeding the average rating of 4.2, which is great because now I can just look and see really clearly the information that I want to look at. So now that we've gone over how to sort and how to filter, the next logical step is actually how to present this in a way that anyone can understand. And we're going to do this by creating what is called a pivot table. So I'm looking at my spreadsheet. I have it still sorted by author. Next, we're going to go to back on the top ribbon. We can click on Insert and then Pivot Table. And when we click on Pivot Table, it'll give us an option, so we can select the table or range that we want to look at. For this particular case, I have just my entire spreadsheet highlighted. It looks like that's start at A3 and going to P99. That's all the cells with data in them. And then we can either choose between a new workbook or an existing workbook. And I'm gonna go ahead and make a new workbook out of this. So once we go ahead and click OK, we are greeted by this blank pivot table area to work with. Now first I'm going to go ahead and select the things I want to look at. So I'm going to do, let's say, title, author, and average rate. So now that I've gone ahead and clicked on what I want to see, I am presented with a kind of a first draft of my pivot table. We can see that I have the titles and the author and the ratings present. Under the Design tab, I can actually click on that little subtotals sub-ribbon and say do not show subtotals or subtotals. We're not really looking at numbers here, so it's really not necessary. And we can do the same thing for grand totals as well. Since we're not looking at numbers, we can just go with turning those off for now. And I've gone ahead and changed the row header as well to books, so we know actually what we're looking at. So right now we have it where author is inside of the title and the rating is inside of the author. And we can actually change that, change the hierarchy of what is displayed. We can do that by adjusting the pivot table fields. So under row we have it looks like author is under title and average rating is under author. I'm going to go ahead and move author to the top. So it'll be author, title, and then average rating, which will give us something that looks like this. So here I have the authors sorted alphabetically and the titles are inside of that. It just gives it a little bit more easier to read and a little bit more easier to understand, because we know we're looking at authors now and we're looking at the titles that the authors have. And then a quick print preview sees that this is a very readable way to look at our spreadsheets and a very good way to kind of present this so anyone who's looking at it can understand and make decisions from it. They can see immediately what we want to present to them, and it's really cool that way. So what have we learned in this tutorial? Hopefully we now know how to sort data at a kind of a basic level. And that's both alphabetically and numerically. We can take a column and we can now sort it from A to Z or from highest to lowest. We now know how to filter the information to display only the things we're interested in. So we now know if we have a huge spreadsheet, we can use filters to display only the things we want to display and look at them in that way. And then we also know how to generate a pivot report to summarize the information that we've been looking at. And pivot reports are used to analyze and interpret the data and present them in a perfect way. So I recommend going to Excel and just finding a spreadsheet you want to work with, taking an old spreadsheet you used before, and seeing what kind of sorting and filtering you can do with it. Right? Good luck, and thanks for watching my tutorial.